Welcome back to Venom Motorsports. So today what I'm going to show you how to do is we're going to change the controller here on this 1500 watt ATV. It's not complicated. A lot of people think it'd probably be complicated. We are going to have to lift up the body kit just to get it off and out of the way so we can get to the controller, which is directly below here. That's the new controller right there, and we're going to put that in. I'll explain kind of as we go along what the wires are for. I know all the wires now. I've just taken apart so many of them and put them back in, so I know these wires off by heart. I could tell you exactly where every one of these wires go and what they do. So I'm going to show you as we go along, and then you're going to have some plugs that don't plug into anything, like this white one. It doesn't plug into anything, and that's just because the model years. So some models have an accessory that this wire would be needed, and then we have two other wires. So these two wires here, they're for the brakes. So if you hook up either one of these, it'll work the same because these are both brake wires. So if you were to hook it up for your brakes in the wiring harness, either one of these wires will do the same thing. This very colorful one here with the 6-prong, but it only has 5 wires. This is the control to the motor. So this goes into the wiring harness and then it goes down to the motor. Or sorry, it goes to right down to the motor. It doesn't go to the wiring harness. Then we have this one right here. This is for our throttle control. It's got the black, green, and white, and red. So that's for the throttle control. And then there's going to be another one for the throttle control, and that is this brown and black wire right here. So these two are going to go together to plug into the throttle. So right here, oops, it's right there. And then we're only going to have one set of wires left, and that set of wires right there is your governor. So when you plug that in, it slows the ATV right down when younger children are riding it, and it caps the speed off really low. And that's what all those were. Oh, sorry, and I didn't show you this orange and pink wire. Now this orange and pink wire is very, very important. This is the main power wire right here for like your gauges, things like that, your lights, and your throttle control. So that's the main power wire, and I'll show you where it plugs in. It plugs into a red and a red-white on the wiring harness. So that's all the wires. And then on top of the controller, we're gonna have our drive wires. So these go directly down to the motor, and they give the heavy power down to the motor to make it drive. And then you got your negative and then your positive. And your positive runs through this fuse right here. So at the back side of this, it doesn't go all the way down to the bottom to any power source. It just bridges to here and then through this fuse. And if this fuse pops, it's usually not a good sign. It's something bad has happened inside the controller. So yeah, so we're gonna get started here. So the only tools you're gonna need is an Allen key set, a 10 mil socket, a 13 mil socket, because you're gonna want, no, well, I'm not gonna remove the footwells because I'm not taking the battery out. So just a 10 mil socket. You are gonna need a little bit of black tape. I've put my number 5 because it's the biggest Allen key you're going to use is this number 5 here. So I put one on a driver, and get a container or a metallic dish or something like that so you can put your bolts in. So I'm going to grab all my magnetic dish here, and we're going to get started. We'll lift everything up. Like I said, we're going to have to lift the body kit, but we're not taking a lot of things off. We'll have to take off the back rack. So I'm going to get everything together, and we're going to get started. Okay, so what we're going to do first is remove these 2 back bolts on this side for the rack. All right, I just loosened them first. I'm not going to just go ahead and pull them right out. There we go. Right, so we'll pull off the bolts now. Oh, they're still a little bit tight on this one. There. Okay, take the back rack off. We'll put it off to the side for now. And now we can go ahead and just remove the seat. There. Back to the back rack. Alrighty. So now the back rack and the seat are off. We're going to take off just all these screws here on the footwell. So what you're going to need there is the number 5 Allen key. Like I said, I have one on my driver already, so I am going to go ahead and take those off, and then we'll keep going to get the controller changed. I'm going to put my camera down too. All right. There's going to be 6 of these per side. So when you do take these off, just make sure you put the nut on them so you know what's one that takes the nut on the back of it. Oopsies. Go. So now all you need to do is go to the other side, do the exact same thing. But before you do that, you can always take out your center ones. So they also have to be removed. I'll do that one right there and these two. So let's take these two out first. These ones are long. I wish I had my drill. This one's really in there. Wow. Oh, it might be a little stripped, so I might have to fix that one. Oh, it's not stripped, it's bent. Yeah, I'm going to replace that bolt. Alrighty, so next, I'm going to take out this middle one right here. And this one, there's a nut at the bottom of it. So if you just reach up in there, you can grab it. There we go. Alrighty, so now we're going to go to the other side. We're going to do the exact same thing. So all of these bolts that we removed here, oops, let me put that back in there, that we removed here, we're going to just go remove on the other side. So I'll meet you back here. Well, I'll meet you actually over there in a minute, because I want to, I'm actually going to take the controller out from that side. So, alright, let's go over to the other side and I'll meet you there. Okay, so we're over on this side. Another one I'm going to get you to take out is this one right underneath the right, or the left fender and the right fender. Just unscrew it. There's a nut behind it. I want you to take that one off too. That one frees up the whole body, will free up the whole body kit, so we can kind of move it around. There we go. So we'll leave that like that. The more we can lift up and get some space underneath there, the better. So I've already taken the ones out on the footwell over here. So I'm just going to go take the one out that I forgot under the fender on the other side, and then we'll start. Next, so if your ATV has the wrap around the controller, then you're going to have to cut it off. We're also going to want to unplug this. This is the battery gauge, so go ahead and unplug that first. Then what you're going to want to do is give a push down on the side of your body here, so you can get your footwell off of there. Fix that sticker while it's off, and then we'll go do it. So you want to make sure that those tabs come out. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Just kind of push down on that so we can pop that out, and then we can lift the body kit up a little bit like that, and then we can get to our controller. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to get a knife, because I want to cut that plastic off. And you want to be careful when you're cutting it off the side. I'm going to go ahead and unhook that over there. I'm going to get something. I use my flashlight. You guys can use a piece of 2x4 to lift and hold the body up while we're doing this. Just like that. And we're gonna, now when you do this, make sure and stay on the top to cut this, so you don't get near any wires. There we go. There we go. Okay. So the first thing we're going to start doing before we start taking all the wires off, we have to snip some zip ties But we want to make sure that we take our power off first. We can go ahead and get the power wires off first. And I'm going to show you where the power wires are here in a sec, just because I want to get a look at from the back. I'm going to put the camera facing in through the back so you guys can see what I'm looking at too. And so I'm going to move my camera over and we'll get started. Okay, so first off is our power wire, which is right here. We're going to take it off first. And then we're going to take our ground wire off here, and then we can start taking all the other wires off. I want those 2 power wires off first, and your power wire is the most dangerous out of all of them. So you want to be very careful you don't touch the frame anywhere where it can ground it out. Well, actually, I don't usually do it that way. I take off the ground wire first, and it takes away from anywhere that it can ground out on the frame then. So let's take our ground wire off. It's the black one on the other side. I'm just going to loosen it off. So I'm going to take the ground wire off and I'll pull it way down low here. Now I can come back to this other side. I'm going to take off my power wire. Now, if you touch anything and ground out this power wire from the controller still holds power. So even though I'm taking this power wire off of here, there's still going to be power in this controller. It stores it in capacitors in there. And we'll move this down. So if I was to turn the key on right now, even though this power wire is off, it's still going to show me it has power, no matter what. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to wrap the connecting end of my power wire with black tape so it doesn't contact anywhere. Just like that. Just wrap it around so it has nowhere it can contact any place. And then you can just leave it hanging. Then we can get back to the rest of the wiring. So we can go ahead now and we can pull off, and this is just with your number 5 Allen key, the same as the power and the negative wire. And we're going to just pull these all off. There should be a yellow, blue, and green. Next to the blue here, and then we'll get that green one. And you're going to need to cut a couple of zip ties just for the wires on the front. Blue. The green one right here. Get that green one off. Okay, so all the ones from the top of the controller are done. Now we're going to come down to the side here. We're going to snip some zip ties off so we can disconnect the wires. We're also going to need a number 8 socket. There's some bolts that hold the controller in. We have to put those out as well. So let's come up here. Alrighty, so you're going to see a bunch of zip ties there. So we're going to want to snip those. And try to be careful where you're snipping. You don't want to snip any of the wires. There we go. Alrighty, so now we can, now that those are all snipped, what we can do is we can go ahead and loosen the bolts off the controller. There's one right here you can see. So we can take that one off. There's going to be 4 all the way around. And you just need, like I said, an 8mm socket. Oops. Right. Well, it's hard with the camera here. I'm going to scooch my camera up this way so get in there. This is long and tedious, but you have to do it in all 4 corners. So I'm going to go ahead and do this rather than just sit here and crank my ratchet here, and I'll be right back. Okay, so now we can start unplugging the wires. It doesn't matter if you mess up a plug when you're unplugging these. Usually I would tell you to go plug for plug, but I know all these plugs. So this is that main power wire we're unplugging. Remember I told you that the purple and gray and the black and gray were both brake wires. So we're going to unplug our brakes. This wire, the white one, I told you doesn't plug into anything because it doesn't. This is our control wire for the motor in the back, so we're going to disconnect that. This is probably the hardest one to unplug. It's just a big plug, so it's hard. Okay, so we got that. And now all we have left plugged in right now is our throttle. So we can go ahead and unplug that. And like I said, it's the one with the 3-prong with the red, white, and black on it, and then the brown and black. So I'm going to go to the other side. I'm going to disconnect those, and I'm going to come right back. All right, so now we have everything unplugged. You take the controller out, lift it up. And we can get it right out of there. And that's it. Now, this controller, like I said, is still holding power in it. If you want to dispel the power in it, all you have to do is take a screwdriver and put it across these 2 points, right here and right here, and it'll give a little snap, and that'll be the end of that. So we're going to put it off to the side, and we're going to keep installing this. All right, so we got our new controller here, so we're going to slap this bad boy in. Again, just up to the top, like that. Just want to set it in the exact place that the other one was. And before I put my bolts in, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hook up all my wires. The thing is, when I do this, I make sure that this all works before I go ahead and put my bolts in that put it together, stuff like that. I want to make sure that this works and drives first before I put everything back together. So I'm going to go ahead and put my motor wires on first. Then I'm going to plug everything in before I put my my power wires on. So I'm going to go ahead, like I said, and we'll start there. We'll go to the back of my camera so you guys can see again. There we go. So we're going to start yellow, blue, and green. So yellow. blue. Usually those are all the blues. It's weird. There we go. Okay. And green. Okay, so now that these are all hooked up, I'm just going to give them a little tighten. Right. There we go. Okay, so all the motor wires are hooked up. So now we come back around and we can hook up our plugs. Right here. Okay, so first we're gonna do is this pink and orange. It goes to the red and red white. Then our brake, one we're gonna use is we'll use our purple and gray for braking. Okay. Our motor signal wire, which is the big one, right here. Okay, and now all we have to plug in is this one, the red, green, white, and black, and the brown and black, and that goes to the throttle control on the other side on the wiring harness. So I'm going to go to the other side and hook that up really fast. My 3-prong first. Yep, perfect. And then my brown and black. Next. Perfect. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to hook up our power wire on this side. So our power wire goes right here. So we're gonna have to take our tape off it, but I'm not gonna take it all the way off yet. I'm just gonna kind of pull back the tab a bit so I can tear it once I get up there. And there we go. We'll go ahead and hook it up to the controller. Pull my tape off. Now, that's fine. And always hook up your power wire first, and I'll show you why in a sec. And we can tighten that. Just like that. Okay, there we go. Power wire is nice and tightened. Now we're going to go to the other side. We're going to hook up the negative. Now when we do this, this controller, because it's brand new, has no power running through it. So there's going to be a pop. There's going to be like a little spark. And I'll show you what I'm talking about there. You should be able to see it right there. So our ground cable is right here. So when we put that wire up there, and the first time we touch, there's going to be a spark. And the reason there's a spark like that is because it's going to be the first time that the controller gets power, because there's no power in that controller right now. With the other controller, it's, like I said, stores power. So we're going to get our ground cable up here. I'm just going to pull it here until I get my nut off, or my bolts. And I'll show you what I'm talking about with the power snap. Are you ready? See the power? So as soon as the controller gets power, it snaps like that. And it's not dangerous. It's perfectly normal for it to do that. And there we are. Now I can tighten up the ground wire. And then right after that, I'm just going to go plug in my battery gauge. And that should be it for the install, other than putting the mounting bolt in. But I want to make sure that it works first. There we go. Nice. So our controller is all in. Now I just have to plug in the battery gauge, which is just on the other side on the plug-in. Now we're going to turn it on and we're going to make sure it works. And when I say we're going to make sure it works, we're going to take it for a little test drive and make sure everything's perfect. So then we're back over here. Our battery gauge wire is right there. And it's red and black, and it plugs into a red and white and green. Just like that. And then I'm going to get my tools off this and make sure that everything's hooked up, and we're going to go take it for a test drive. Okay, so I'm with the 1500 watt. I just put the new controller in it. Here is the one I just took out. This is the original 1500 watt controller and 70 amp, whereas that one says, on that one it says 1200 watts at 50 amps. So now I've hooked up everything and I know every wire is correct. Everything works perfect. That comes on. Lights work. Horn works. Brakes work. But it gets no power. No power goes through that controller at all. And I mean, everything is hooked up perfectly. There's nothing wrong. All the wires are on the right place. Everything's tightened down nice. Nothing's wrong. All those wires are hooked up the right way, and it gets nothing. I went over these wires now like 3 times to make sure that I didn't mess up and hook it. There's no way I could mess it up and not have everything work perfect, but this controller doesn't do anything. It doesn't give any sort of power. No click, no power, no anything. I really think though the ones they sent us are 50 amp, and they can't take the 70 amp power. They can't give the 70 amp power, so that's why they're not working. Okay, so we got it all hooked up. I'm gonna put my body down, but I want to make sure everything powers up first. Powers up. I go down here to drive, make sure that it goes, and let's see if it moves. Yeah, and it works perfect. Brake lights are all working. So like I said, now I'm gonna take it for a quick test drive, and that's it. But usually if it comes on, I have my lights turned on there. Usually if it comes on like that and it jumps forward and everything, it's good. So you can go ahead and put the body down. I wouldn't recommend bolting it all back together yet until you take a test drive on it. So I'm gonna do that real quick, and then I'm gonna come back and we'll get the body together. All right, so I took mine for a test drive. Everything worked out. So now it's time to put the mounting bolts back in the controller. And it looks like these. There are 8mm bolts. So we're just gonna line up our controller with the holes and start every bolt. There we go. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna just bolt all those bolts back into place. I'm not gonna do that on camera because, again, you're just gonna hear my ratchet going for 4 bolts, right? So let's get that done. And then once that's done, we're gonna keep going, and I'll show you how to put the footwells back on and get the back rack on, and that'll be it. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring our body back down, and we're gonna start putting this footwell back on. I'll show you how to do all that. So we're gonna snap my brace out from underneath there. Put that there. Now, when I put these footwells on, you want to make sure to get these hooks on these hooks, like that. So you want to make sure that when you put that back up, it's hooked in there. We're gonna do the same thing on the other side. There we go. Okay, so now we can put in our 2 back screws. Find where I put the screw there. There it is. Okay, so let's get started. All right. Alrighty. So we'll start up here. This will be the first one we put in. I'm gonna do all one side with you, so you know how to do it, and then you can do the other side yourself. So next we're gonna need one for here, and it's a long one with a nut. So you'll see some of them are longer and they have nuts with them. That's one of them. And you might have to finagle your body around a bit so you can get that back in. There we go. So those are in. Now we can go ahead and put the body ones in here for the footwells. And we're going to be doing the ones with the, they're little short ones with a nut. Like that. Just like that, and then we can keep going. Okay. Like that. Well, I'm going to go ahead, like I said, this is pretty easy. We're just putting bolts back in holes. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this up, and then I'll finish up the other side, and then we'll get the back rack on. Another one you're going to want to remember to put on one right underneath here. And we're going to go ahead and do that. And it should be a little bit longer than them short ones. There should be 2 longer ones. And then on the back of it there. Alrighty. Tighten that one up. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get these bolts all in. And as soon as we're ready to put the back rack on, I'll be right back. Alright, so we just have to put our back rack on. You're going to need your 10mm socket, and that's it. So we're just going to lift it into place. Get our 2 front holes first. Do the other one on the other side, same thing. Do the front hole first. I'm going to lift this up just there. There we go. And on this side, we're going to do the same thing. Front hole first. Once you have your front hole done, then you can just lift it up like that. Let's do the other one on this side. Then you just go ahead and tighten them up. I'm not going to tighten them up on camera because it's just going to be repetitive, but that's it. So that's it, guys. That's how you replace the controller in your 100 watt ATV. Definitely like and subscribe, and drop us a comment.